Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer, and today I'm gamesplaining Expancity. Expancity is a relatively straightforward game to learn. There's a couple of little elements in there that get you thinking like a little bit harder than you expect to be thinking with this game. But in essence, it's a relatively straightforward game to play in. The whole idea is you have two cards you choose from. You choose one of those cards, put it down. If it's a green card, you're putting a residential building. If it's a blue card, you're putting an industrial building on it. Residential buildings can only be built up to level 3. Industrial buildings can minimum have level 4, so 4 and above. In order for you to go above the level that you're currently at, you must put a lid or a roof onto a previous building. So if you're on residential, you have to have a level 1 building before you can build to level 2. If you're on industrial, you have to have a level 4 before you can build a level 5. There's a lot of thinking within that. Your turn is literally 3 actions. So it's adding 1 block to each building that you've got going, or it's taking a block in. You can have a maximum of 3 buildings. Finding the balance of that, it's, you know, there's a little bit of trick in that. Once you cap a building, you're starting to get cards that come in, and they're bonus cards. And this is where the game really gets intriguing, is what these bonus cards can do. So what you're looking for is to take a card, so you get 2 to choose 1, and this is kind of an ongoing theme throughout this entire game. You take 2, choose 1, put the other one back. I'm assuming it's to take some of the randomness out of it, because there is some rather large point swings within this. So in the cards that I'm talking about, you take one might have 12 points on it, one might only have 3 points on it. That's huge difference. But the one with 12 points is harder to get to. So taking 2 at least gives you a chance of breaking that up and making the choice of, oh, do I just go for that 3 points, which is going to be relatively easy, or do I really work hard to get the 12 points? Some of the things in those cards are dependent on just what's in the city. It doesn't even matter who's got the building on the spot. It's just, if all this stuff is here, then you can claim it. Sometimes it's, you need to have one building that's next to these 2 things, and one of the things is going to give positives, but one of them is going to give negatives. There's a manipulation that goes on with your thinking that changes how you will place things and where you will place things depending on what those cards are. Because there's blue and green buildings, but there's also these other ones that are the different kind of the city tiles. And so parks, they will add 1 to each building that's next to it. Churches, for example, they might add 2. I think it's 2 for the churches. I might be wrong on that. But for residential, but they've got a negative on them if you've got industrial stuff next to the church. So if you build that next to where you're trying to build a building, you're actually not getting any points for the building. If you put that next to a closed off industrial building, you're not losing those points. So you could then gain the points for the residential stuff. There's a lot of thought process that goes into this game. It feels like a really easy game, or looks like a really easy game on the table to start with, but as you get further and further into the game, there's more thinking going on with, should I put it here, because there's more options on the map of when you place the tiles in, or where you place the little squares in. I kind of really like this game. It's a game that I've put on the table quite a lot since I got it, and it's a relatively easy game to play. So it just kind of goes on, and then we just play through without having to stop and think too much, without having that real heavy happening. It's just like, take your turn, okay, you take your turn, okay, you take your turn. And it just goes really quickly in terms of how we're able to play the game, or how much manipulation is going into the thought process on the game. In terms of relatively easy games, I quite like it. I think it's a good game to introduce people to. It's got enough that people who play this will go, okay, I kind of enjoyed that, let's play another city building game. And you can kind of push into that type of game. There's a little bit of the toy elements on it, so it's got the quite a substantial 3-dimensional build around the board, or on the board, that, you know, it looks really, really good on the table with anyone who's kind of just passing by. It's got a lot of stuff like that going on for it, and so that's a worthwhile thing to build into. Look, I'll leave it there. Have a look at my Gamesplay and Gamesplanation to get a feel for the game if you haven't come across it before. If you have that and you don't like it, please write below. Let me know. If you've got any comments or suggestions, write them below. If you have any games that you would like to be Gamesplayed, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to keep up to date with the games that I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.